Men Harvesting Wisdom, the 10 Heroic Dimensions of Transformational Self-Leadership. Throughout our life, we are either preparing for, going through, or coming out of some form of change or transition. A career ends, leaving the military, a marriage fractures, a diagnosis arrives, the kids leave home, the body slows down. But change itself isn't what causes our stress. It's how we view change that matters. And what sits between every change and every transition is perception, how you view and interpret what is happening. When change arrives, it's our thoughts that shape the emotions we experience, and those emotions influence how we respond, how we recover, and ultimately, how we move forward. To borrow a quote from Jim Rohn, there are two ways to face the future. One way is with apprehension, the other is with anticipation. The choice is ours. How we perceive change profoundly shapes our experiences of how we deal with and move through the transitions that follow. The 10 Heroic Dimensions of Transformational Self-Leadership provide a map and a compass for anticipating change and the predictable transitions that follow. The aim of this work is to help you keep the lessons you've learned so far on your hero's journey, but move beyond the land of the familiar past that may be holding you back. By understanding each dimension, you can navigate the way forward while avoiding the land of trials and adversity that can slow your progress. Eventually, and inevitably, the hope of this work is to help you arrive to your destination, the land of passionate, sustainable clarity. And once you've arrived, who you become along the way and the lessons you've learned can be shared with others to pay it forward. Before we walk through each one, here's a suggestion for approaching this work. There are two ways to work with the 10 dimensions. The first is sequentially, examining and journaling through all 10, one at a time, building a complete picture. The second is through triangulation, identifying the 1 to 3 dimensions that need your attention most right now, based on whatever change or transition you're facing. We'll introduce all 10 sequentially first, then we'll talk about triangulation. Let's begin. The first heroic dimension is identity. In the 10 dimensions framework, we describe these 3 aspects of identity: the ego, the conditioned self, the operating system your younger self installed to survive and navigate life, built over decades from experiences, conditioning, roles, wounds, achievements, and the expectations others placed on you. It's the story you tell yourself about who you are, and most men have never questioned whether that story is still true or whether it was ever theirs to begin with. Alter egos, the characters we create. Distinct versions of ourselves we consciously or unconsciously construct for specific environments. The man at the office is not the man at the dinner table. The man with his buddies is not the man alone in his truck. Alter egos aren't dishonest, they're adaptive. But when a man can no longer tell which version is real, the alter egos start running the show. The mask we wear for armor and protection. The outermost layer. Masks are worn not to express identity, but to conceal it. To hide vulnerability, avoid judgment, or meet what we believe others expect of us. The tough guy, the comedian, the man who's fine. Masks served a purpose once. This work is about recognizing which ones you're still wearing long after the threat that required them has passed. These 3 layers work together. The ego writes the story. The alter ego plays the roles, and the masks make sure no one sees what's underneath. When change hits, the masks are the first to crack. Identity is the ongoing work of peeling back those layers, not to destroy them, but to finally meet the man beneath them. The second heroic dimension is values. Our values operate as your internal compass, not the borrowed values you inherited, but the fundamental principles and ideals that guide your choices and shape your future. When you know what you stand for, the compass stops spinning. Direction becomes clear. And when your values are clear, your decisions become clear, especially when they're difficult. The third dimension is meaning, a personal sense that your life matters and that you have something of significance to contribute. Meaning is what makes suffering bearable and transforms pain into purpose. Without it, you're not living, you're just surviving. Meaning is forged in fire, not found in comfort. Every person has been through something that nearly broke them. The change was real. The pain was real. Meaning is what you choose to make from that fire, not what the fire did to you. This is where perception meets purpose. The same event that destroys one person forges another. The fourth heroic dimension is purpose, the bridge from why to how, where what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what sustains you overlap. This is where purpose lives. It is not hiding from you, it is waiting to reveal itself. Purpose provides direction, organization, and a plan of execution for actualizing what gives meaning to your life. Meaning tells you why it matters. Purpose tells you what to do about it. The fifth heroic dimension is self-care, your personal dashboard. 4 gauges: physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. When change and transition hit hard, these gauges drop fast. Which one has been in the red the longest? When they are in the red, you're not broken, you're depleted. And the success of your entire transition depends on your honesty about what needs maintenance. Most want to skip this chapter altogether because they're literally scared of the word self-care. But the fact is, you can't lead yourself effectively if you're broken down. Self-care isn't optional. It makes everything else sustainable. The sixth heroic dimension is roles and intentions. Roles are the parts you play in others' lives: spouse, father, brother, leader, team member, friend. They are the way you move through the world and how you intentionally show up. You play different roles throughout your day, but when those roles are fragmented, you end up exhausted and disconnected from yourself. The seventh heroic dimension is vision, the compelling picture of your future that organizes your choices and drives your actions. Vision is what separates those who are drifting from those who are building something that matters. When the old and outdated future you envision dies, it's not a tragedy, it's a clearing. Every significant change carries the potential to kill the future you were counting on. Vision is the deliberate act of designing what comes next, built on everything you know about who you are and what matters. When your identity is clear, when meaning and purpose are alive within you, and your self-care and roles are balanced and healthy, your vision can now be made clear and attainable. The eighth heroic dimension is execution, closing the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. The flywheel is heavy. The first push barely moves it. But consistency over intensity, even just one turn repeated with intention, is what creates momentum. Transition ends where execution begins. A lot of guys get stuck here. They've got clarity. They understand the concepts, but they can't translate vision into a consistent plan of action. Execution is the dimension that makes everything else real. The ninth heroic dimension is willingness. Willingness is not about being willing when you are willing. It is about being willing when you are unwilling. Understanding willingness acts as an inoculation for when everything within you is resisting and telling you to stay comfortable. When it's freezing outside and you wake up under your warm blanket with your mind telling you not to move, but instead, you pull the covers off, stand up, and start moving. That's willingness in action. Willingness is the choice that activates everything, not a feeling, a decision, because it aligns with who you said you would be and what you said you would do. Willingness is the moment you stop negotiating with your resistance and push through the door to rise to your potential. The 10th heroic dimension is legacy, the imprint and map you leave behind to help future generations navigate the world. When you start thinking about what will outlive you, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Every dimension before this one shapes what your legacy will be. Identity determines whose legacy. Values shape what it stands for. Purpose directs where it is built. And how you move through change, how you carry yourself in transition, is the legacy your children and your community absorb in real time about who you are and, after you're gone, what you stood for. Legacy is not just what you leave when you are gone. It's what you transmit while you are still here among the living. Are you living your life with anticipation or apprehension? Here's what makes these 10 dimensions more than a self-help exercise. Each one is connected to the others. Neglect one, and the ones beside it weaken. Strengthen one, and the ripple effect moves outward. When you're unclear about who you are, your values blur. When your values blur, meaning becomes harder to find. When meaning disappears, purpose has no foundation. And without purpose, execution stalls, no matter how hard you push. But it works the other way too. Clarify your identity and your values sharpen. When your values are clear, meaning reveals itself, even in the hardest of seasons. Meaning fuels purpose. Purpose drives vision. Vision demands execution. And execution builds the legacy you intend to leave behind. These 10 dimensions are not isolated exercises. They are an interconnected system, and the lens you view them through, your perception, determines whether you experience change as something happening to you or something you are moving through with intention. 10 dimensions, one map, your map. Change will come. It always does. But the transition, the internal journey through what happened, that is where the work lives. And how you perceive that journey determines everything that follows. Throughout the seasons of your life, every man finds himself somewhere within a transition. On the front end, preparing for it, in the middle, going through it, or emerging on the other side of it. The 10 heroic dimensions provide a map and compass for grounding yourself, regardless of the territory, in every season. For now, know this. The map exists, and the man standing at the center of it, the hero of this story, is you. The call to adventure is not a one-time event. It is happening right now.